Hey everybody, welcome into the Lettermen Lounge. We are at Roosters on Olentangy River Road, Columbus, Ohio, the greatest city in the world. You can just smell it in the air, guys. It's Big Ten Media Days this week.
I thought that was the Friday.
I thought you were talking about the chicken.
Mac,
yeah, you can
mac and
smell
cheese
it, yeah.
bites, wing sauce. Is it mac and cheese bites?
Mac and cheese bites is tomorrow, yes.
Appetizer
Tuesday.
Delicious. $2 all day long. So tremendous. Chewy, ooey goodness.
And you can put hot sauce on them like
Berm's
Berm
favorite.
does.
Berm likes to put that hot sauce on it. That's Berm, by the way. Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter. These guys.
JB.
Apparently superstars on the softball time. And how was the weekend, boys?
Well, I'll tell you, we lucked out with great weather.
Well, it's always good if you're starting with the weather after a big sport.
Well, you know, waking up Saturday morning, it was raining, and we had guys coming in from out of town, so it was great that the weather worked out. Huntington Park is beautiful. A lot of fun being down there, seeing the inner workings of the locker room, and all that kind of stuff is always fun.
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, sorry, yeah. Boy, clubhouse.
The captain of the losing side is really burying the lead here.
It was tough. We
got our butts kicked.
We had a team.
I'll just say this. They had somebody in the outfield rob a home run and go over the fence.
A 3-run shot.
There's nobody on our team, and I wouldn't expect, as the manager, anybody to give that much effort than what this other team was doing.
Roll the tape.
And I wish we had it. It was an amazing catch, an amazing play. We were just going up against an all-star team.
We have 2 guys who should have knee replacements already, and one guy that's
almost broke his
way.
wrist on the before the game started.
I mean, we had some issues with some guys who just, due to the longevity of their career and some of the injuries that have happened, they're not fleet of foot anymore.
No.
Our guy who was the most fleet of foot, Joey, Mr. Gallo, who could fly, I tried to get him in center field. He didn't want to do that.
Yeah,
he wanted to play.
He had to play second.
We
We tried to move him out of second because he boomed a couple. And he told our second, the one we were putting in, I'm not moving. And I said, okay.
Can he not throw the ball or what?
He couldn't he couldn't get a ground ball.
He got gloves on him. He just didn't convert it all.
He did rip his sleeves off, though. He's got some guns. I'll give him that.
Shouldn't we preface this by saying what the hell you guys are talking about? Because maybe people don't know what they were doing.
That's true. So we had Cardell Jones second softball game for the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer Saturday night. And
Who did you play against?
It was basically Team Jones, young guys, versus Team Zwick,
well, how did you let that format happen?
Yeah, it was spring game draft where
the first year, I was on a different team. We were down by 10, 12 runs in the last inning, and we just
came back and beat us.
were you on his team?
Yeah,
I'm so I think I hit 3 home runs in the last inning. Like everybody was. We were shotgunning beers at home plate. It got out of control, but we came back and won. And so Cardell, after that, was like, next time you can have a team. And, so that's how it came up. And he wanted it to be guys that I played with, which there were a lot of them. But I also brought in Vlade Janikiewski, who's a guy, a buddy of mine. And we had Jeff Uhlenhake, who played back in the day as a coach.
Yep.
A couple basketball players, Joey. I think that's about it.
Joey was still the fastest dude out there.
100%.
That's why I wanted to get him in center. I'm like, let's
that's where I had him. On our card, we had Joey out in the outfield. But he came in strong saying, I'm a second baseman. So, you know what? I'm not going to argue with him. If you're coming strong with that, I expect you to be able to get a ground ball. And, a little rusty probably. But charity event, all the proceeds, going to the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer. We had some great sponsors. And, had a home run derby that some college kid put a few out of the park, out onto the street. So that was a fun show to watch. And, us old guys
he came in,
hang.
And then we subbed him in, and he didn't hit any home runs with us. He's hitting them literally, Austin, out of the park. There's people watching the crew game, and I'm worried that one of them might get hit.
Right.
They're going over top or
it was
through
insane.
some of the observations.
We ended up having, I think, one inning, 6 outfielders.
Yeah.
I threw him and his sister out there because we had Bob, J.J. Solinger, Terrence Dials, Jeff Uhlenhake was out there hobbling around at some point.
Jeff might not be able to walk today.
He got hit with a softball during batting practice on his wrist. He had a huge bubble on his wrist before the game even started.
Wrapped it up and played, though.
Yeah, J.J. out there trying to do basket catches in the outfield. Yeah. It was bad all around.
We talked about this about a month ago when you guys were on the actual Cruise for Cancer, though, that you can get all these former Buckeyes that want to go out and obviously it was fun, even if you lost.
Yes.
But to have events like this, it's something that you talk about all the time, Bob. Just the power of that Ohio State
brand. The power of the brand.
The brotherhood.
The brotherhood.
Yeah.
The B's, the brand and the brotherhood, and the booze. That's the 3 B's of the Buckeyes.
And we had them all there. As long as you stayed in the dugout, you were good to go. So.
I might go talk to the guys over there at the social media, the creative guys. The 3 B's of Ohio, of the Buckeyes. We got the Blocko of life, but the brotherhood, the brand, and the booze. Like that's.
And they don't have to pretend like booze isn't part of it anymore, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
what it says on the NIL guidelines. Just no distilled spirits.
Distilled spirits, but brewed.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Brewed fresh, you can definitely talk about that. What else is on your mind, Bob? You came in hot today.
Yeah. Jeez, it was,
we're going to lay it out on the table.
I want to know why you're heated, because we're so close. Maybe it's because football is almost here.
He's getting ramped up a little bit more. Like his body knows it's football season. He's on edge.
I'm about ready to report for camp, OTAs.
I got a list of things that I need to get done today.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
Really, I really do. It's like the airing of grievances. It's about a lot of things I need to get done, and then I'm just getting. If you ever had a day where like you got a lot of stuff that needs to get done, and I don't need anything else being tossed onto my plate. And I had some other stuff coming in, like some bad news, things that's like, it's just another issue that I've got to deal with. So I'm getting an argument with my mom. Like, she's very passionate. We can both elevate it. And then my daughter's like a miniature version of my mom. So then we were having some issues. I had issues. Like, it makes me feel better. Who just told me something? Oh, about my wife's parents are very even keeled. They're not, their family isn't quite like the intensity of ours. Like, ours is like, it's like a black tip shark like feeding frenzy. Like most days, like when things get ratcheted up, like the fights over nothing. Like, hey, I want to eat these. No, and then I eat one, and then it accelerates in a hurry. But I found something out about like my father-in-law. He got upset and like had to deal with an issue back when they were in high school. I'm like, gosh, it makes me feel so much better. So when I'm getting in like confrontations with like officials at like my daughter's 10-year-old soccer game, because they're literally changing the rules in the middle of the tournament and not telling us, and then like that's the way the rules have always been that I play. I'm like, well, first game we were told that there was no headers. They literally stopped the game and told us that and called a penalty. Cool, so we're going to proceed as if that's the thing. 3 games later, I guess that wasn't the case.
Somebody scores on
and
a
he's
header,
like, that's
what
I called. I'm like, well then listen, it's not with you. Let me see the tournament director.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, no. And I'm like, yes. If you tell me you've been doing this the whole time, I don't have an argument with you. He's like, this is why there's no officials. I'm like, bro, how much do you make? He's like, $25 an hour. I'm like, I'll pay $25. You pay me $25 to jog around and exercise. There's a tiny field. My uncle's an official. That's what I said.
Tiny field.
He goes, I'm 70. He goes, I get paid $25 an hour to exercise. He's like, this is great. He's like, people want to yell at me. He's like, I don't care. And so I was like yelling. I'm like, hey, well, when did this rule change? Where was their communication? She's like, well, it was clearly spelled out. I'm like, well, it was to us because they stopped the game and literally made that announcement to everybody in our first game. And so it's like by the time I got to the tournament director, like I'd gotten upset with this guy, and I'm like, if you just would have directed me here at the beginning, it'd be fine. So we would. My daughter, they ended up tying the game. They would have won whether they won the tournament, whether it was a tie or a loss, as long as they didn't get smoked because they already beat the team before. Which
is what's important.
But I go,
we won the tournament.
There wasn't. And he goes, I'll put you down as a win. We'll scratch the goal. I don't care. It's not about that. Yeah. It's about rules and following them and clearly communicating.
Kevin Warren running this tournament.
It really was.
What's going on
here? I felt like Walter Solchek in Big Lebowski. Am I the only one that gives a crap about the rules? I go, whatever the rule is, just tell us.
Roll.
And then 100%. Like that's real. And so the tournament director finally, he's like, yeah, I apologize. It was bad. We were actually doing this.
Over the
line. It was over. It was. And he's like, we didn't handle this correctly. It wasn't communicated properly, because the official was like, well, it was misinterpreted. No. This isn't like what we're calling pass interference or what's a catch. Either you can hit the ball with your head or you can't. There's no ambiguity in that. And so the tournament director apologized. And then some of the other team's parents, like I think they were probably upset that I was.
Were you demonstrative?
I wasn't yelling. He's like yelled at me. Like, bro, I wasn't yelling. Like, I was.
Do you want me to yell at you?
That's what I tell my kids. Like, you want me to?
When I'm yelling at you, you'll know it.
You'll know it.
I go, I'm just asking for an explanation. He's like, you're not owed. I was like, yeah, we are, because we paid for this and you're getting paid. So you're a professional in this situation. I want you to explain it or send me to the tournament director, which that finally happened. He explained they screwed up. All right, dude, as long as you're admitting that you made the mistake, I'm fine with that now, and we can move on. Do a better job next time.
Yeah,
Be better. Build back better. That's what we want you to do.
When you walked into this restaurant today, and you could just see there was it was percolating. This is not what I expected.
I did not know we were going to go down to the soccer, but
camp.
That was like
casual conversation.
Saturday,
fun and casual.
This is
fun and casual. But then what happened is this guy acts like this. You're the reason why. You need to be a better example. I'm like, dude, the girls are asking what happened. Why did this change? So I'm asking for an explanation.
Accountability.
That's accountability. That's all it was. So then the dude like messages me on Twitter.
You're a dude, and that dude.
Yeah.
Dude on dude. Accountability. Boom.
Send me to the tournament direct. Hey, I've called it this way. This is what I was told. Perfect. Out of your hands. Send me. No, but you chose to want to engage and then try to tell me it doesn't matter. You were the one that. No, it does matter. These things matter. There are rules in life. And so then he tweets at me.
He wants to take it to the streets.
Glad I got yelled at by B-Carb 3 for missing a call in his kid's soccer game. I'm getting paid $12.50. I'm like, first of all, the games are half
25.
His games are half an hour.
Okay.
Like, bro,
should we give him a shout out? What's his Twitter handle?
I don't know. But I'm like, so
Spencer, make sure we put that.
So I explained
it.
He's starting to come back. I'm like, I'm not even getting into this. I go, here's the bottom line. The tournament director apologized to me. I talked to two of the other team's opposing parents, congratulated their kids. Their boys played really hard. They did a good job. I'm like, I'm nothing against your performance.
I'm just finding this guy right now.
I'm just trying to figure it out. There's mentions that you can find it. And then I'm like, I go, it's over to me. You chose to come and mention it to me the next day and troll me. He's like, I'm not trolling you. You should be an example. I'm like, no, dude, you're trying to troll me to get me to, I'm not doing it. After like 3 tweets, I was like, it's over. I'm done. You can live your life and be who you want to be, and it can all be good. I'm comfortable. You're trying to shame me. I wasn't getting upset. Like, I was talking to you like this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And then you want to call me tough guy. Like, dude, you want to get tough guy. Like, if you're trying to fight me, let me know. But don't refer to me as tough guy. Because if I was 5'5", 100 pounds, it wouldn't be that way.
Here's the
those
hilarity of
those
this.
Twitter fingers
is
aren't really
that this
tough.
person clearly created a Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I saw it. I know. Believe me, I did the research.
That is priceless.
And then you want to act like I'm the one who wouldn't let it go.
Wow.
This is the next day. It hadn't been in my mind. So I had that like churning yesterday.
Boy, I thought it would be like a fan base that got back in Bobby's mentions.
Is
but
way
now,
better.
This is
way better.
Well, it's probably not better for an audience that wants to hear us talk about Ohio State football.
Everybody wants to hear about
but it's a
stuff.
great story.
The whole point is that we're here just being normal
fun,
folks,
casual conversation.
having real moments.
Real problems with soccer tournament officials.
Just dudes being dudes, talking about, dudes.
Here's the thing. If you're getting paid to do a job,
Dude.
I don't care how much or how little it is. You're a professional. By the guise of the NCAA, you would be defined as a professional, okay? And so act accordingly.
Right.
And if it's not enough for you, then don't do the job. And you know what? Then they'll have to charge more and do these things like, hey, whatever. But don't tell me that I'm this and I'm that. Like, you're getting paid to do it.
Well, that seems like a pretty simple rule to know.
It's not even
going into the
it
tournament.
wasn't even a judgment call.
It's yes or no.
The only two things I ever ask for officials, call it even, good or bad. If you're going to let people do whatever, not call anything, don't call anything.
Yep.
If you're going to call it all. And just know the rules.
Yeah.
That's literally
It's a simple yes or no. Can we use our heads? No. Okay, we're moving on.
Sorry. And that's for football. That is for everything.
For
life
life
is about rules and consistency in adherence to them.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And reps. And Herb and I are going to be paid professionals to go to Indianapolis, Big Ten Media Days, moving from Chicago to Indy this year.
Love it.
Don't love it, hate it.
Love it.
Yeah, so you're fired up about to move to it. Let's just get into it.
I also think that Big Ten Media Days is the biggest waste of time on the calendar. Like, it's great that it means that college football starts in 10 days.
But you're going to get exposure to be able to talk to 3 of Ohio State's chosen athletes.
Okay, so here's the deal about Media Days.
In a scrum.
It's changed a little bit over
the
years,
internet
right?
now
Yeah.
exists.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn about the other 13 teams in the Big Ten, you can do that whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is just quick Google search Purdue. Hey, who's the quarterback at Purdue? A, who cares? But B, you can find it if you need it.
How would you know if he didn't like Lucky Charms versus Frosted Flakes?
Well, somebody can ask that. Like, this is only an event that
all
the
you gotta
national
do is do it all online. I mean, you could have 15 guys instead of only 3.
But what has more value? All right, so Thayer Munford, Chris Olave, and Zach Harrison get to go represent the Buckeyes this week along with Ryan Day. That's great for them. It's great exposure for the 3 guys for every program that get to go, which I would imagine there was a fight to do that now with name, image, and likeness, being able to enhance your brand on your own. But
natural brand enhancement. I like it.
Natural brand enhancement. Well, what's more valuable? A full team media day with the entire 2-deep depth chart for every single school, where the local media could then, if you wanted to zoom in, now that we have the technology,
that's the answer.
So that's been true for 15 years. Instead, you have this collection. Hey, I'm glad to go there. I'm glad that we're going to get to talk about football. We always have fun at media days.
I'm glad it's not in Chicago.
The event, it's
are you?
What?
I thought that would make it a little worse.
I hate Chicago.
It makes it 100 times worse because Indy, we go there 6 times a year.
Makes parking 100 times better.
But it's a nice familiar, dude. It's like an old friend. Indy's like Cheers. Everybody knows your name if you're a Buckeye because we go there every year.
I understand. I don't like you're going there at the end of the season, for the championship game.
I don't like
you
going
go to Chicago and have a good
at
time.
all. Every time I go to Chicago, I feel like the world is close to ending.
It is because the South Side
visiting
Chicago
the wrong spot.
No, I don't even mean from like that perspective.
Okay.
I mean, anytime you drive into Chicago, like as soon as you cross like the halfway point of Indiana, the sky starts to darken, storms start. I mean, 2 years.
What's the murder cap of the world up there in the corner?
Is that
worse? It's not worse.
When I was driving,
Gary.
A couple years ago, when I was driving in Chicago, like there was a huge thunderstorm, and like the trains on the side, there was like transformers were exploding. It was crazy. It was honest to God, like driving into the Armageddon. I don't love it. I'm out of that.
It's like a
post fly. I'm out. Why don't you just fly?
It's
a cheap flight.
Ugh,
quick.
Yeah, why are you driving to Chicago? It's like $69 on Southwest to fly here.
How dare you?
Easy peasy.
It takes me just as long
It's a nice
to drive
flight.
there.
It's an easy flight.
It takes me just as long to drive there. I have to go to the airport 2 hours early. You still have to drive.
You're one of those guys?
Well, he hates to fly, so that's
that's understandable.
Let me ask you this then, Berm. What questions do you have loaded up, and what player are you the most excited to interview non-Buckeye?
Are there other teams going to be there?
Berm's not going to talk to a single other player from the other team.
No, I mean,
you should ask some of the Michigan players.
Why
are there so many?
How do we know
why are there
there's
so
gonna
many
be there?
guys in the portal? What is in the portal?
Whoa. Yeah.
Who's going to be there?
What should we take from all your
who are
teammates in the portal?
Also, the Big Ten has done
Is
a
Graham Mertz
remarkable
gonna be
job
there?
avoiding any publicity ahead of Big Ten Media Days, where they still have not released the actual list. We know Ohio State's players. Maybe they put it on their website on Sunday.
It's probably a COVID thing. They probably don't want to say in advance.
COVID.
You can't say in advance because what if it changes?
That's somebody,
But day one, so the Big Ten also structures Media Day. So Ryan Day will be the last speaker on Friday. The Buckeyes are on Friday afternoon. So if you're covering the event, you get there Thursday so you can talk to Kevin Warren, Bob, and then you have to stay the whole way through because the Buckeyes are the only ones that anybody actually cares about. Bobby,
smart.
Did you go to Media Days?
No,
I know Jay-Z didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
They had limited. They tried limited my media availability. Mr. Steve Snapper.
Hey, me and you both.
Limited mine as much as possible. Yeah, Justin was on that plan.
I was on that list.
Why?
I think he told Dom.
What did you do?
I think he
What
told
did you do
Dom
to
one
lose?
time that I think was in the hospital or something. Like that's why he couldn't talk to me.
What did you do to lose your media privileges?
They were afraid of what I would potentially.
I know
say.
why Jay-Z didn't.
I mean,
get
knocked
to.
down a few doors in the Woody. I mean, you just never knew it, Bob, back in the day.
Speak the truth.
But those are the guys that we need.
Well, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's stuff that people want to hear.
That is.
And that's certainly what we'll get out of Chris Olave.
Well, Thayer Munford is the biggest truth teller on the Ohio State roster.
That's true.
He
Really?
Yes.
Then you got
Like a Kanye West.
You'll get buttoned
Be
up.
a truth speaker.
Yeah.
Buttoned up Zach Harrison and buttoned up Olave.
Well, yeah. Olave's not
Company
going to
man,
say
right?
hardly anything. I don't think it's because he wouldn't.
No, they just
He's
don't.
not a big
He
talker.
doesn't have a lot of interest in it. Zach Harrison has become much more polished as a speaker, and the fact that he's going tells you that Ohio State has much higher expectations for his productivity this year because they could have taken a senior in Haskell Garrett. Jeremy Ruckert is another guy who was on that list who could have been there, a senior tight end.
Tyreek Smith,
Sevin Banks, perhaps, with somebody they're talking about a first-round pick. So that they take a junior who, Mickey Marotti tells the story all the time about he wouldn't say a word on his recruiting visit. And Marotti's like, well, should we take this guy? Like, I don't know anything about him. He won't say anything. And then 2 years later, even if he hasn't been the most productive compared to maybe the expectations, he's going to Indy, not Chicago. He's being hailed as a captain and a leader of this team. That tells you a lot about.
Well, you talked a lot about his offseason, how he stepped up in the weight room, and you've lost some big time players, and you needed somebody to do that. So you hear those reports, and this is just probably something at the end of that, like, hey, you've done great. We want to send you here, and congratulations on becoming a personality of some sort.
He's a gold grouper on Mickey Marotti's board. You get the gold groupers, man. Only gold groupers get to go to media days. So He's pushed into the goal group. One of my favorite things about this time of year is the stories of off-season workouts, like where the guys like
for every single team, college, NFL. I'm in the best shape of my life. Roethlisberger's losing all this weight. I mean,
stricter diet
it's
than
like
TB12.
Yeah, exactly. I got all this stuff, and like Zach, and believe me, Zach Harrison's. When you're young, like he has the capacity to put on 15 pounds in 2 or 3 months. Like that's just how those guys are built when they work like that with Mick. But it's just best off season he's ever had, best shape that we've seen him in. Took it so seriously, like as opposed to what?
Yeah, the last 2 years where he was slacking off, not doing. I mean, what?
Maybe that's what we should ask the Michigan players. I mean, off-season program. Just
how has it changed since now the Ohio State is an important game? Since the banners went up, how much different has it been?
Yeah, I mean, these are serious questions. I mean, you can get in the scrum with the Michigan guys. I mean, will they answer your stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, they have an over-under win total at 7.5.
I think that's too high.
I'm not debating whether it's too high or not, but that is that is ridiculous. Like those are the questions I would ask. Like that's the public perception of you. 7.5 at the over/under, and I think the under might be the favorite. Like I think you're laying juice on the under.
Well, and that's also one of Thursday. The only thing that is really of great interest that Berm, Spencer, and I will be covering is Kevin Warren in the morning. No matter what he says, this will be his first full press conference.
Kevin, were you finally feel safe enough to come out of your basement?
So if you were there, I know you can't make it.
What
would you ask Kevin Warren on Thursday?
Oh, gosh. I would ask him what changed.
And if they gave you the microphone, would you give it back?
No, I wouldn't. You remember when Ray Lewis won the MVP? Ray Lewis was up on stage with Jim Nantz and tried to claw that thing. And I think Jim Nantz, in preparation for that moment, had done gripper all week long because he had that in a struggle because he knew if they gave it to Ray, they're going to have to go to commercial just over him talking. First of all, how did his first year go? Listen to him bloviate a little bit. And then do you consider yourself a man of conviction and principle, Kevin? Yes or no? Okay, yeah. All right. Well, when you said that there wasn't going to be a football season and that was not going to be revisited, but then shortly thereafter it was revisited, what happened to change your mind? Because there was no new information that really came about, but all of a sudden things began to pivot. Were you willing to release some of the transcripts and some of the conversations that you had with some of the other university presidents?
His son transferred to Michigan State, didn't he?
Did he really?
Did he go up there? Did he?
I think he's now in the Big Ten.
That's good. And,
good for him.
And, and when you say that it didn't matter that your son was able to play football at Ole Miss or Mississippi State, but yet it was a different situation up here when the parents were saying that it's safe for our kids. Why did you not want to listen to them? Listen. If you were to if I had all week, believe me, I would fully Lieutenant Caffey this thing, and we'd walk him down the code red out.
Are we officially extending an invitation to Kevin Warren to come on Lettermen Live?
Yes. He's always had it. I mean, I've only talked to him one time.
Fantastic.
He hasn't had any full press conferences, and maybe his introductory.
And why didn't we see you at all? Why didn't you have any press availability last year? Zoom calls are easy.
I wonder how many questions he will actually take.
I just want to know why there hasn't been a plan.
He'd be calling on people.
Why there's been nothing discussed about what they're doing this year. That's all. That's my biggest thing is what is the plan now? Is everything just okay?
Gene said we're going live.
It sounds like everything's 100%.
So are they skipping testing? Are they doing everything? I mean,
we're going live.
That's all. I mean, that's what the answer should be, of course. But whether or not that is, I'm reluctant to believe it.
That's the part. When you look forward to media days, if I am, whenever it exists, it's to talk about football and depth charts and who to look out for. There's going to be so much talk about name, image, and likeness.
What's the Big Ten's protocol right now?
I just don't care about that. I mean, it's important that they have a plan to get through the season, which they'd never really articulated.
A plan to win.
Yeah, a plan to win the season. But the name, image, and likeness thing, we're already a couple weeks into this, and I don't care. It's great. The players should have had it. Spencer Rattler's going to go make, however many tens of thousands of dollars signing autographs in Chicago next week. Cool.
Are there that many Oklahoma fans in Chicago?
He's going to the National Sports Cars and Collectors Convention. He's the first college player to do so.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like a big convention.
Really nerdy.
It is a big convention.
But did you see that Texas A&M dudes who got paid $10,000 a piece to do an interview?
Yeah, why not?
Wow.
Well, aren't they only doing interviews with those people for the year? That's kind of how I read it.
Exclusive.
Yeah, it's exclusive.
I don't think that they can turn their back on
answer
Texas
to other
A&M
people
availability.
Yeah,
but
they could.
Well,
there's no
I mean,
requirement.
technically, yeah. I mean,
there's no requirement. You can't find
true.
You
if
can't.
your SID comes in and says, "Hey, I want you to do this interview," you say, "No." Are they paying me to do it? And then I don't want to.
Hey,
That's true.
Here's the
I
fee.
mean,
Here's my Venmo. They can just slide it on in.
Here's my fee sheet. You can 5 minutes. This is
My fee sheet. That's great.
just let me know how long they want me for, and we'll get it going.
Because there's no. This isn't the NFL. Like,
Here's
there's
the
no,
questions that I'll answer. We
Here's
got
the
it.
question.
We got it ready to rock.
That's true. It
No
may have to
collective
get to that
bargaining, I
point,
guess.
Marshawn Lynch and finding them not to show up, but you can't find somebody who's not an employee.
who doesn't get paid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then we hear Mark Emmert talking about how it's time to pivot. The time is now. We could sit back and do nothing, or we could make changes. Like, what have you been doing for 20 years?
He's actually choosing
Nothing.
to do nothing. He's saying, let's decentralize. The commissioner, the president of the NCAA is like, I don't want this responsibility anymore. But keep paying me $5 million.
Yeah, keep paying me all the money.
What is going on here? I don't know. We're going to take a break. We're going to eat some more Roosters. We're going to get some more. Come back, talk about Big Ten Media Days and the start of training camp. It's coming in about 10 days or so. We'll be right back on Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the second half, the finishing stretch of Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. This is a fun, casual chat. So day one, as I was getting to earlier, Kevin Warren will speak. Got Bob worked up about that. And then we get the 1 hour improv session with Jim Harbaugh, which is always one
That's
of the
gotta be.
strangest hours of the
Yes.
year. And now, like, you add in
What if I went to the media days and then dressed up as Jim Harbaugh, like in his same coaching outfit that he wears? Because he's gonna have the same thing on. 'Cause he's not wearing a suit. He's wearing the fleece, fleece.
Will he have his
hat,
cleats on?
Whistle. Yeah, I'd wear cleats. I'd wear exactly
You'd
what he
have-
wears, and I would interview him like as a clone of himself.
the last time we had one of these. He showed up, he put on a Bears jersey. He wore his hat throughout the press conference, like every other
Well, he
coach
can wear
shows
his
up in
Colts jersey now. It's even better because
Oh,
he played
yeah.
for the Colts.
The old number 4.
Captain
It's-
Comeback.
Yeah.
So weird.
Remember
He's
they did
a strange
they did
dude.
the coaches photo of all the coaches in their suits, and then there's Harbaugh in his sweater and his hat on.
And where, yeah,
I just love the guy.
Cleats on still inside.
I can't believe that he gets to go to another Big Ten Media Days, that he's
Yes.
still around. But,
Coach, he's got a 4-year deal.
well, yeah, there's a pretty big out after this year, after that pay cut. I wonder, like, how he will handle this week, the attention, because he's been treated so long like he could never be fired. And now everybody knows that he can and probably should have been.
Probably should.
Probably.
I wonder, like, how he's going to respond
But why
to that.
wasn't he?
I don't know.
Maybe that's
He
the
was a
question.
He's a Michigan
30-point
man.
underdog to the arch rival. 30 points.
With an over win total this year of 7.5.
7.5. And the year before, he's denying that there was any gap between Ohio State and Michigan in the first place. Like, you can't say that that's the case now. You can't even pretend. Like, obviously, Jay-Z, you're talking about their weight room, that they know they need to emphasize the game more.
Mhm.
Like, is he going to do that this
It was
week?
kind of like
Did you
Mark.
see the video they had of them running in the rain with their jerseys on? Like, what practice did we ever do where we had our game jerseys on and we're running 110s out in the rain? It was just weird.
They take it more seriously.
Everything about them is just weird. They wear their jerseys to class up there? What are they doing?
I love it though, the fact that he's conceding like that I need to pay more attention to the rivalry, talk about it more. Like, we're going to put the countdown clock in there now. Like, what is this, year 6 or 7 for 6, 7? Yeah, we're going to put the countdown clock in now. It's like Mark Emmert coming out and saying, now is the time for action. Like, dude, where were you 6? Even you could have just done it after. You know what, the perfect time, if you don't want to do it at the beginning, the year after the Curtis Samuel, JT
Yeah,
Barrett,
that.
they cheated us this year, whatever.
Yeah.
Make up whatever you want and say it's
Now
time.
we're going
The 12
hard.
down
They
is on.
did.
They were
Redemption
that-
tour is
Well,
coming.
You gotta have a clock though.
Hey. Revenge.
Revenge
Yeah,
tour.
revenge tour.
Well, see, that's how memorable that
The
tour was.
chase-
I don't even know what word they
What
used.
was that kid?
The Revengers?
Winovich.
The Revengers. It didn't work. Yeah.
No.
Chase Winovich.
That didn't work. I
Posing
don't think
out
that
there.
came from the coaching staff, though. That was more the guys, right?
Well, at least they took some ownership. You
Yeah,
can
fair
respect
enough.
that, right?
Yeah.
I think if you go back to that game, I don't think that there's a single scenario where Michigan could have stopped Ohio State from scoring every possession for like 100 straight possessions.
Last year?
No, the
2018
2018 game.
Yeah.
The last game.
Like, well, no, because there was the game in Ann Arbor in 2019. But the 62-39 game, I think Ohio State would have scored on 100 straight possessions. Like, I don't think there was a single thing that could have stopped them.
Well, and that's the point. Like, is he going to own up to this at some point? Like, maybe he won't on Thursday. Maybe he'll pretend and bluster.
No, he's going hard one more year. You know,
They've got a new defensive coordinator.
They got a young new staff, right? They're recruiting.
A second defensive
They've had
coordinator.
two new defensive coordinators since January.
Oh, that's right.
You know,
Forgot about that.
Here's the other thing you probably need is when you're going to interview Jim Harbaugh, you need to come strapped with a gallon of whole milk and 2 glasses and be like, Jim, let's sit down and talk through this, and pour yourself a nice big glass of whole milk.
I think about media day stuff, and now I think about weird things like PJ Fleck's beverage of choice.
Oh, that was awesome.
Which is?
He was combining Diet Pepsi and 7-Up.
Sierra Mist.
Sierra Mist, like on the podium.
Interesting.
You can see that. That's what they do a lot of times.
Why not
at
just
bars.
ask for a ginger ale?
Well, okay, and that's maybe they didn't have it.
Yeah.
He's very creative.
You don't think his fee
Innovative.
sheet?
He's
You
an
don't think his fee sheet has ginger ale on there somewhere?
He's an elite drink maker.
And we just presumed, of course, that later it was spiked with a little.
Well, his wife's
vodka.
definitely was. We know that for sure.
Yeah.
Those are the things we learn at Big Ten Media.
Yeah,
Once
that's
the
what
microphones are off, that's where you really learn something. Like the people who go up and ask, hey, can you sketch a picture for us real quick or tell us about your favorite ice cream? That gets old real quick. But once everything's done and everyone's right there and they're unwinding, you see some of these guys sometimes hanging out.
Yeah, they're in the bar. And
That's where the
in
information
the hotel
is.
bar later. I thought, like, some of the most interesting things to me were, like, again, 3 years ago. So the first year for Lettermen Row, we had a crazy media day. But I remember leaving the hotel, like, after we check out, and Mark D'Antonio was in line to check out at the hotel.
He's the best. I mean, Mark's
And,
my
like,
brother's father-in-law, so I love him.
Coaches, they're just like us.
So there's all these people, right? And, like, you just know that only D'Antonio was the guy who, like, checked in
Checking
himself,
out.
You know?
They need this magnetic room. They must. They
If I
must.
don't-
I want to let you guys know I'm
I just
leaving
thought it was-
today.
I just thought it was hilarious. Like,
Maybe there's some disputed charges.
I mean, I guess it could have been. But
I need a printed copy of my receipt
he
to
just-
be reimbursed
he
by
just-
Michigan State Athletics.
He's just standing there in line, just do for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, this is so weird because why? Why? Are
He
you
and
doing
Kirk Ferentz were saying, like, now, did you have that
Yeah,
second beer at
yeah,
dinner
yeah.
last night, or I was drinking wine?
I think they charged us both.
I don't think this is correct.
do the schools actually who pay? Does the Big Ten cover all that? I hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, so what are we talking about? Just run it up. It's all on Kev. It's on the big guy.
Kev signing off. When Ohio State goes on Friday, and as I said, Thayer Munford, Chris Olave, and Zach Harrison will be there. What would you guys want to hear from the Buckeyes this week? I know, Bob, you're just fired up to know about all those off-season gains, but if you get to
With a
talk to
Z.
these Buckeyes, like, what is it that you want to hear from media days going in? Is it the way they talk, the confidence about the team, young guys? What would you want to hear on Friday?
I would want to ask Olave, how does it feel that they ranked Garrett Wilson ahead of you as the number 1 wide receiver that's draft eligible? I would just like to hear his response to that. You can even say it laughing, because I think they're fairly close. But like, I want to ask guys stuff that makes them uncomfortable. I want this to be like an NFL Combine interview.
Right.
Well, I think
Look at-
he said out loud. I think coming back, to do some other things, but also to compete with these younger guys that were there. And I think he's named, Garrett. I think that room with all the 4 or 5 stars they have, I think they're just so used to competing against each other, right? I mean, they know that some of them maybe have better skills or this or that, but they're there to compete and try and be that guy. And I'm sure he would have that chip on his shoulder coming out of this year, saying, well, I'm going to be. That's what they say now, but we'll see what happens.
Like with Zach, you're the number one of the top recruit in the country, number 1 guy. If you don't have a successful career as the Bosa's or Chase Young, do you view that as a disappointment? I mean, like, I would just ask him that flat. Like, that's inquiring minds want to know.
Right.
I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, I like to hear
That's
how
different than if they're a dog or cat person. That's way more informative.
It's got a little bit more to
I
it.
want to
Yeah.
see when someone asks something uncomfortable, how they respond.
Can't trust a cat person anyways.
No, you absolutely can't.
Yeah. So that is a good
And
question.
then who's the third one?
Chives.
Thayer there. How's your back there?
Yeah.
Can it hold up for the season?
Finally get I'm definitely curious about that with Thayer. Like, the last 2 years were so injury plagued, and he got through it,
Yeah.
which is great. But
But last year was only 7 games, so
Yeah.
but then you're sitting there in that same situation. Oh, I feel better than I ever have. This is amazing. So that's what he's.
What
gonna
actually
say.
is wrong with it?
He had to have major back.
Well, I would ask.
Yeah,
That's what I would
I
ask him.
gotcha. All right.
What actually is wrong with your back?
Gotcha.
I mean, keep that core
coaches
strong.
can't tell us because of HIPAA, but you can tell us if you'd like.
And he
I like all of these guys. I'm just saying I like to watch people squirm a little bit, kind of move in their seats. Like,
well, and you're asking questions or thinking of questions where because all you're going to do is go, hey, so what do you see from these young quarterbacks? And they're going to give the same answer for all three of them. You're not if they were being honest and would actually tell you how they really felt about the guys or gave a.
Well, that's why when I'm talking about Olave, he is honest about that.
Does he? Well, that's what I would want to know.
He probably will not be on Friday.
Well, yeah,
but
in that setting, he won't be.
I know how he feels.
Zach, Bobby Carpenter wants you to come on Morning Juice. Are you free this week? Hell no.
Yeah,
here's my
tough interview. He's a tough interview.
I wouldn't ask those guys that live on the radio. I give them time to think about it. You can sit there and think about it. I'll circle back if you want. I mean, those are. I just like to ask people stuff to kind of get them going a little bit. I love Olave. These guys are all great. Zach's a great player. There's a lot of pressure on you to fulfill that. And you're a highly recruited guy. I mean,
yeah, you're here at media day. That means that they wanted to put you out in front of everybody.
Is there any worry that you could get usurped by JTT or Jack Sawyer?
I want to know if they've changed. I want to know if they've changed the alarm codes to the Woody to the score of the Alabama game. After the focus that was put on Clemson the year before.
You want to know that, or you just assume that everyone's going to ask?
I want to know.
Okay.
I also want to know favorite ice cream flavors, and if those ice cream flavors remind them of any Big Ten teams. And more than anything, I just want to know if these guys are happy.
Are you happy?
Are you happy? I really want to know. You're talking about a couple guys that
Now I'm even less excited.
Yeah, I mean those sound
that's the guy,
terrible.
That's the guy who's going with
Are
me.
you happy?
Have Bob write you some questions before you leave.
That's my
Zach. Are you happy?
That's
what
my
I want to know.
sidekick on this.
Jeez, you got to hang out with him for a couple days.
I'm like, hey, Berm, did you get me anything over there from Zach Harris? Yeah, Rocky Road.
Yeah,
he is
got it, and he's happy.
He is happy.
He's happy to be here today.
Can I just get a check mark next to happy or not?
And I'll be just walk around to every table.
What is the most intimidating
yes or no.
thing Mickey Marotti has said to you? Ask each one of those guys that, and be honest, no lying. They'll probably start laughing.
Yeah, I don't know if people. I don't know if we'd be able to write that stuff. There's probably a lot of, profaneness.
Mick doesn't curse all that much, but he gets under guys' skin a little bit.
Oh, he knows how to do it.
Gets the crowbar out, and you gotta pry on him a little bit. You gotta be uncomfortable. What is the worst thing you've had to do while you've been at Ohio State? Hopefully, it's something that's involved in football.
Probably COVID testing every single
well,
time.
And maybe that
might be the answer.
That might be it.
Let's go take it up with that commissioner over there.
Unless they were here for Urban's first year, and then that would probably be the answer. But those guys are all long gone by now,
huh? Ryan Day always knocks these situations out of the park as well, so he'll have an hour and 15 minutes or so with the media.
Ryan, people have talked about you potentially leaving and going to the NFL. Your thoughts?
I didn't even have to ask Bob. Bob knows right where we're going. He's going to ask about the NFL heading into year 3.
Like Harbaugh was trying to go, but nobody wanted him.
Nobody wanted him.
I know there's people that maybe
people actually do want you.
Make sure whoever asked that question frames it that way. This guy was trying to leave Michigan to go to the NFL, but everyone said no.
He struck out for the last 3 years. He was trying to get out and couldn't. And everyone wants you at the next level, and you won't go. Is that why you were a 30-point favorite last year in the game? That makes sense. Jay-Z, what do you want to hear from him? What would you ask the coach?
Ryan? Gosh. I mean, I want to know about these quarterbacks. We saw them in the spring game, and that was basically about it. But, you're just not going to get any answer that's worth anything, I don't think. And Ryan may be a little bit more straightforward, if he has an idea going into this camp who he's kind of leaning on. So, I mean, you might be able to get something out of him for that. Shoot. I mean, Master Teague's probably going to be your starting running back for the first game. What that rotation is going to look like. How the secondary is coming along.
None of those are going to actually be given real answers.
Well, I know that's why it's tough. But those are the things I want to know. But you just know you're going to get the the company answer, and it's just going to go on.
Does your wife like it here, Ryan?
Your kids weren't at a soccer tournament a few weeks ago that some big guy was getting escorted out.
Bob only wants to sit there and ask things about how long he's going to stay before he goes to the NFL.
I think Ryan likes it here. I think his wife does. But those are things like, just tell people, man.
He's not going to come out and be like, yeah, I'm out of here in 2 years. He's going to say, no, I love it.
What do you think about the commissioner of your league?
What's the biggest challenge about coaching in college versus coaching professionally? What's the thing you like the least, dislike the most?
Dabo said he would quit if players got paid. Do you think he should quit?
Do you think he should resign before the season starts?
Do you think Dabo Sweeney should leave?
Is he a man of his word?
Yeah.
What's the secret to recruiting so well? People are saying that you might be recruiting better than Urban. I mean,
people are saying
have
it.
people said
That's
that?
Berm.
People have said it.
People.
Berm says it.
This person has said
I think
your
it's also
secret?
the recruiting rankings, right? The last 2 are the highest rated in school history. Is that correct?
Correct. But I mean, Urban did have
Is
a
that good?
couple number 2 finishes as well. But I mean, it's certainly the points are higher than they've been. Their per player average is better than it has been. But I've talked about that.
But have you asked him about it?
No, because he wouldn't give you an answer that was.
It all comes down to we have a lot of questions and nobody's going to give us a real answer.
Bob's point today
Harbaugh might be the only one that gives you
here
something.
Here are 100 questions that should be asked, but you know that no one will answer them.
Well,
yeah, but the question
you know the answer to him before you ask him.
I want him to be so uncomfortable that your reaction while I'm asking it is all I really need to see.
That gives you the answer?
That gives you the answer.
Remember when James Franklin yelled at a fellow Ohio State media member a few years ago? He works for The Athletic now.
Oh, that was a priceless exchange.
What was that?
Yeah, I missed that.
These are
Fill us in. This is the stuff we want to hear.
Inside media
it's about
days.
recruiting philosophies and keeping players home. No, I can't remember exactly the wording that set him off, Berm, to you.
I just remember the reaction.
It's like,
so it was basically saying you can't keep your guys in Pennsylvania?
Like, who are you? Like, who do you work for?
What does that matter, sir?
I'm here covering you.
Because sometimes they're sitting there and they're sniffing out some of the things, like when we're making jokes about Michigan, and the only people who really there's national media, there's the Michigan.
Does Yoder go there?
No, then like 20 Ohio State media members, because the only people that really care about everybody else is going to go like get an hour. The Iowa beat they're off by themselves talking to players that nobody cares about. And we're all flocked around.
Most offensive thing that Coach Doyle's ever said. Go.
Boy, let's not go there.
Oh boy.
So you get in. So that Penn State is sort of in that mix as the third wheel, where they'll draw
where the national
Ohio
media
State,
cares,
and so they'll go over but the coaches get really defensive if they start asking things like, "You can't get over the hump against the Buckeyes," or "Why is your recruiting rankings lagging behind? How are you going to chase down Ohio State or win a Big Ten title?" Then they start wondering, like, okay, well, you're not from the Penn State beat, or you're not from the Michigan State beat. Are you from Columbus? Like, why are you asking me this? Are you just trying to throw some red meat back to your base, giving them something to chew on, get me worked up, and say, hey, we suck? I mean, James Franco does that on his own.
I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you.
But anyway, that did happen to someone who used to cover the Ohio State beat and no longer does. That's part of the fun. I will be looking forward to that. I just don't care about any of the rest of uniforms and name, image, and likeness.
So I'm saying, let me give you some nice questions.
Bob, I want you to come. You said you wouldn't.
That is the entire premise of this
You
show.
have a hearing with the 10-year-old soccer referees committee.
I don't. I have my kids' swim championship.
Tournament director.
Trying to be a good dad.
Committee.
Turn down some stuff. You know what? Be involved. Watch my kids. They're getting older, man.
It's good. You got to do that stuff, man.
Start realizing, like, dude, I only got oldest son's gonna be 12. Like, man, I get 6 more years left.
6 years
on his way out of here. So trying to soak up all of that instead of going there and harassing some of these coaches and commissioners, which, believe me, I enjoy. Once I get, you can ask Justin because he watched this happen at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
Once I get confrontational,
it's on.
dude, it's literally like you can't.
There's no off valve.
It really isn't. I have
switch,
to be sedated, or I like fall asleep, or end up drinking myself out of it. Those are like the 3 options. Like
3 Bs.
Once you get exactly the brand, the boo, brotherhood, and the booze. That's the only way you get. Because this stuff would happen with me at Ohio State with some of the coaches and Fick, and like eventually you have to be separated. And I would just go live like, what is wrong with you? And I just get so fired up. I mean,
I think the one question I would like to know an answer from Ryan Day, and I think it's one of the ones he actually would answer, is how far away he thinks Ohio State is from Alabama.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that's
great.
I think that's one he would answer because it wouldn't be blowing smoke up his own butt. You know, I think that's the one where he would actually be able to be somewhat honest about where he.
Well, they just
are.
played him, and you know, what do you see?
Here's a question.
Forward?
Here's a question for him. Do you think, and this is real, is there any worry about the overly restrictive nature of Ohio State's name, image, and likeness stuff to be able to recruit against some schools that may not have those same stipulations? It's a real question.
Right.
We're not competing against Penn State and Michigan anymore. We're competing against LSU and Clemson and Bama and Georgia and all these other teams. And like, dude, it's no holds bar.
Yeah, that's the other fascinating subplot, is just asking national questions for Ohio State, and then all the other 13 teams are going to be like, hey, how can you catch Ohio State?
Yeah. Hey, well, you talk to us.
I wonder. You could ask him.
What we think?
You could ask him who the first quarterback that's going to leave is going to be.
I'm PJ.
Who he thinks that's going to be.
Boy, JC.
Unless you want to get into it.
I'm PJ Fleck. I'm drinking Diet Pepsi and Sierra Mist, and I play Ohio State Week 1. Come on over here.
I mean, 90% of the questions that will get asked to PJ Fleck are about Ohio State. And that's sort of just the way the Big Ten Media Days are, is that 90% of every question, except for Harbaugh, because people are trying to get him to do weird things, everyone else is just asked about Ohio State. And it's kind of weird.
That's why I'm saying you'll go to Jim Harbaugh dressed as Jim Harbaugh with a gallon of milk.
Wait, this isn't Super Bowl Media Day, Bob.
I think he might actually, for a guy that's that weird, that might
have a connection there.
He would certainly like that.
He might take you down to the bar and have some whole milk.
Or maybe
and give you a one-on-one.
If you dress like his Woody Hayes or something like that, he might enjoy something like that. Something else is in the costumes.
My father had this traveling suitcase.
Now we're getting to
which was essentially it was like a traveling minibar.
Okay.
So like it's a suitcase, but inside
kind of like a superhero stuff.
Right. But inside are all the things you need for
a party, an instant party.
So
make a ginger ale.
What if I bring that but put milk in it?
Yes.
And just sit her down right there in front of old Coach Harbs, pop her open.
2 martini
glasses of milk. I got skim. I got 1%. I got whole milk.
What would you like? Jim Harbaugh's a whole milk.
You got to give him options, though.
No,
dude, Jim Harbaugh is a whole milk guy without question.
If you brought heavy cream, he might pour that in there.
We've always used that as an incentive for gambling activities. Maybe it's a golf course, whatever, where a punishment is you have to take the shot. We use that milk, but it's a Cuervo milk. A really delightful drink if you guys want to.
Just threw up in my mouth.
Jose and milk together?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
No, thank you.
Think
Is
about
the milk cold or warm?
Well, however you want it. That's
got to be cold. Everything has got to be chilled.
Yeah, but
when you're talking tequila.
You got to shoot. The longer it sits out there, the worse it's going to be. So you want to take that bad boy quickly.
I might try that just to.
There you go. Buckeye Cruise for Cancer next year.
He was talking about on the way out.
The drink
he's right out when he's leaving Lettermen Live.
Yeah. I got one more order.
Yeah, I think we've got. If I brought up Cuervo milk, I think that means that I took us off the rails at the end of the show.
And you do it like in the shot. Is it a double?
It's got to be in the shot glass.
It's not it's not a shot chaser type situation.
No, you're not chasing the Jose with milk.
That actually sounds smart.
You have to mix it. Well,
that sounds terrible. We're not.
There's not a good way to do it.
So road beers this week will be very different because we're not.
Yeah, you guys should do that.
I'm a little bit skeptical now to even have alcohol with you.
Why?
Based on this.
I like to party. You know that. I'll have Chives take it because he can't win a bet with
He's Austin, and he likes to party.
That's right.
Austin watches TV with the music on.
All the way up to 11. That's Berm, Jay-Z, Bobby Carpenter. I'm Austin Ward. This has been a weird Lettermen Live. We're going to talk about football this week. We're going to be down there at Big Ten Media Days. Then we're going to talking about football next week on Lettermen Live when we're back here in Roosters. And then after that is training camp.
And then it's
we're
on,
going to have actual football to break down. We're almost to the end of the offseason, folks. Thanks for hanging with us. Come hang out at Roosters on Tuesday. It's Berm's favorite mac and cheese bites.
Mac and cheese bites all day long. $2. Yum, yum.
$2. It's a fun casual joint. This has been Lettermen Live. We'll see you next Monday.